Hey guys, Oscar Combs here with another episode of the ISO Show. Today we are going to talk about some of the key changes that are coming out with the 2026 version of ISO 9001, right? So it's been 10 years since ISO 9001 2015 was published, and ISO 9001 2026 is anticipated to be published in September of 2026. What are the key changes? Let's talk about it. All right, guys. So today my goal is just to kind of introduce some of the high-level changes that we should be aware of. I don't think there's a lot for you to do right now because it's still going through discussions and it's in the draft state. But these things I just want you to start thinking about, and I'll briefly touch on some reasons why I think these changes are beneficial, and we'll discuss like the timeline as well. So one of the main things is risk management, right? So when it comes to risk management in 2026, the focus will be on organizations enhancing their risk management. So currently, organizations are focused on risk management, or what we call risk-based thinking, which is a little different than actually risk management, because risk-based thinking, we're just kind of thinking. Now here we're talking about managing risk, but not only from a negative perspective, but there could also be positive and negative risk to the organization. So for example, an organization growing or experiencing growth would be a positive risk that you need to mitigate in like resources, more equipment, things of that nature. So just being more mindful and moving beyond thinking about risk and managing risk. One of the second items is stakeholder engagement. Key word here, guys, engagement. So a greater emphasis being placed on engaging with stakeholders. It's a little different than interested parties, right? Stakeholders are individuals that actually have a stake within the organization. So your customers, employees, suppliers, investors, owners, things of this nature, the community. So it's a little broader than what we are looking at in the 2015 version, where we are actually more engagement, right? Engagement is being more involved, guys. That's a little different than just understanding needs and expectations. Third item, ethics and integrity. Actually, two of my favorite topics, guys. Ethics and integrity. You know, with society right now and how we're operating with a lot of the technological improvements, AI, all of these deep fakes, things of this nature. So it's a little easier for organizations to operate unethically than it was in the past, right? If they wanted to, or to operate without integrity. So I'm really glad to see more emphasis being placed on ethics and integrity. And to me, guys, integrity is just doing the right thing when no one is looking. That's a key thing. A lot of organizations seem to struggle with that. That's why they get citations and fined and penalties, because they were not doing the right thing when people were not looking. What about this one, guys? Digital transformation. So the standard is getting into digital things, because we are all digital now with remote, artificial intelligence. I still think real intelligence is better than artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is trying to duplicate real intelligence. But anyway, there is a benefit to AI, artificial intelligence, right? It can operate more in a more efficient way, quicker results. It can process large amounts of data that we can't. We would literally need a break. We would kind of blow our minds in some instances. And AI, it can just keep going and going all day and all night, guys. So there's some major benefits to this. I know we just kind of been talking about AI, but AI is now here. It's being fully integrated in our day-to-day processes. And if your organization is not embracing AI and you think it's just something that's going to fade, like a trend or something, it's not. So I would encourage you to really start focusing on the digital transformation in your organization, and also with people working remotely and things of this nature. This is becoming more important. What about this topic? Sustainability. Guys, okay, in the past, organizations were just kind of talking about this and not taking it serious. I see more organizations taking this more serious, like the environmental things. Typically, that's been in ISO 14001, but it's being incorporated in 9001, right? Because that's where a lot of the operations occur. That's where the processes are defined, the procedures, the equipment, things of this nature. So we have to take care of the environment, guys. Climate change is a real deal. It's not a hoax, okay? And so we have to do our part and be responsible for the environment, for the people, the ecosystem, guys. It's important, right? All the carbon gases, things of this nature. We have to improve on it. We have to make sure our supply chains are also being mindful, organizations that we're partnering with. So sustainability means that we can sustain our operations. So we do need to put more focus on that. I'm glad to see this being introduced. This other one here, the actual last one that I'll be discussing, is the quality culture. Quality culture, guys. Like, I did a video on this about a year ago. Do you have a quality system, or do you have a quality culture? Right? Because the quality system are the documents. The quality culture is how we live every day. How do we make decisions? How do we think? Right? The decisions that we make. So we need to have a clear quality culture in the organization, and not just a quality system. It's very important, and it's a big difference. And so we also need to focus on, there's one other item, customer satisfaction. We touched on this in the 2015 version, but a little more emphasis will be placed on this as well in 2026. And it's more focused on the customer's entire experience that they have with your organization, not just on the back end when you do the survey, right? It's actually too late at that point. Like, we need to really start thinking about the customer experience even before they become a customer. They are having an experience with your organization. So guys, these are some of the key changes. It's nothing that you need to be too alarmed about at this time, but I want you to be aware of these things and get ready. So let's talk briefly about the timeline. So currently, these changes are in the draft international standard, what they call DIS. And the DIS is expected to be released in June of this year, 2025, so just next month. And as a member of the committee, Technical Committee 176, I will get a copy of that, and I'll be doing a more thorough review of everything and making sure I share that information with you all. The final draft of the draft version of the standard is expected to be available May to June of 2026, which you'll be able to purchase a copy at iso.org at that point yourself. And then the final will be published around September 2026. I mean, this is all projected, may or may not occur, may be roll into 2027. Who knows? It just depends on how much feedback that they get. So guys, I believe these are really good changes. They're necessary as we start to operate globally. Well, we not start operating globally, but as we continue to operate globally, and the world is shrinking, guys. Technology is shrinking the world. And these changes are also important for the workforce transition, guys. The baby boomers, 1946 through 1964, this workforce group is kind of phasing out. And then we have, of course, our Generation X, 1965 and 1980. You know, this is what we call the millennials. And these guys are probably currently in your organization assuming leadership roles right now. And then you have the Generation Z, 2001 to 2020. These are the ones that are kind of coming into your organization right now as interns and things of this nature. And they all operate drastically different than we all did, guys. Our baby boomers and the Generation X, the millennials, 1981 through 2000, like these are the ones. The millennials right now are your supervisors and moving into your management positions. So be mindful of that. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you found this information of value. It will just kind of give you some insight of some of the changes that are coming. Don't worry yourself too much about it. I'll keep you updated. Our goal here at the ISO 9001 group is to help organizations improve their operations and reduce their risk. Oscar Combs here with the ISO 9001 group. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.